Oh, it's so bright. Here we go. Hey guys, so we are live, and in this live stream, we are gonna check out what happened to Myron May. So Myron May was someone who ended up killing 3 people, and he claimed to be a targeted individual. Myron May actually experienced really crazy. Myron May actually experienced a lot of, well, he experienced people, or he felt like he was being harassed. And we are gonna try to figure out exactly what was happening with him. What was happening with him? Just no, that's good. No. What's this? No. Give me a second. So I'm still trying to navigate all of this software. Here we go. We got this going on, so I can check out the chat. And we got this done. We got this done. And here we go. So we're gonna check out what happened to Myron May. And here we go. We're gonna get started now. Let's start from the get-go. So he claimed to be a targeted individual, but we don't know.
The results of these campus attacks are predictably tragic, Jameson, but the causes can be quite different. I spoke with a psychologist with ties to FSU just a couple hours ago who has a theory of what may have driven Myron to do what he did. A state of crisis. That's how friends describe the life of Myron May shortly before the attack at the FSU library in Tallahassee Thursday. But whatever sparked his violent outburst was likely quite different from what drove notorious school shooters like Newtown's Adam Lanza or
Hey, that guy looks scary already.
of Columbine.
This is not a person who was bullied in the past, who has those kinds of insecurities and revenge in mind.
Campus psychologist Stacy Schechter suspects May was more likely a schizophrenic than a sociopath. A high-achieving student and professional, May had close friends who described his rapid psychological unraveling as frightening. A look into his temporary home outside Tallahassee indicates he was being treated with some medication, and that, Dr. Schechter says, may have been the problem.
If they do not take them exactly as prescribed, can absolutely cause a person to be paranoid, to be suicidally depressed, to not know behaviorally what they're doing.
Dr. Schechter has never examined Myron May, but she's not completely detached from the story. As an FSU graduate herself, she's been getting calls and texts from former and current students traumatized by the attack. She can only theorize why May would return to his alma mater to carry out his final act.
The time that he was there may be something that negative that happened to him, and that's where he felt that he needed to defend himself.
Dr. Schechter says late onset paranoid schizophrenia is not unusual, especially among highly intelligent people. She points to math genius John Nash, portrayed by Russell Crowe in the movie A Beautiful Mind. He also started showing symptoms of paranoid schizophrenia in his 30s. Myron May was 31.
Okay, so now we're moving on to the next one.
Well, the results of these campus attacks are predictably...
Let's check this out. So this is something that he himself was saying.
with a heavy heart that I am in front of you now to make this video. Kind of my last words. It's really unfortunate that I have to make this video. You see, I am a victim of covert harassment and electronic harassment and gang stalking.
Oh, shoot.
I'm what's called a targeted individual. There are thousands of targeted individuals in the United States of America, and we unfortunately are subjected to some pretty heinous treatment, which I'll detail in this video. You can find out more about what a targeted individual is simply by Googling or YouTubing the words targeted individual or gang stalking, and you'll see the videos and postings and articles and stuff like that about what a targeted individual is.
So this guy killed
and
someone.
on YouTube, you'll actually hear the stories of other targeted individuals, the videos that they posted about what their experiences are. They won't be that different from what you hear from me today. I think mine might be a little bit more comprehensive in explaining exactly what a targeted individual is.
Let's hope.
And what a targeted individual experiences on a day-to-day basis. So I'll just go straight to it. Talking about gang stalking in general, which is what a targeted individual experiences. The goal of gang stalking is literally to drive a targeted individual crazy.
That's true.
It's a very comprehensive program, and sadly it's a government program.
That's wrong. It's not a government.
Its roots are in programs known as MK Ultra and COINTELPRO, Pro, which should have been eliminated, but unfortunately they are still around.
No.
They're not only still around, but they're actually far more comprehensive and
I think
more
he actually
detailed
has
than
schizophrenia.
They were even when those programs were popular. But like I said, the goal is literally to isolate the person, make them destitute and financially unstable to the point where they can't take care of themselves. Many targeted individuals live in homeless shelters and on the street.
Hello.
And they employ various tactics to accomplish their goal of destroying targeted individuals. The most common experience that you'll hear is, and why the term gang stalking comes about, is because they'll have people follow you around. Whenever you go into public places, like if you're driving on the street, people in cars will follow you around, and they make themselves very known that they're there and they are present and they are looking at you. If you go any public place, like going shopping or anything like that, they'll follow you around the stores. And as sick as this may sound, I've even had stalkers follow me into church while I was in Las
He looks
Cruces,
fine though.
and in Houston. I've had
Like, that's scary. Like,
stalkers
he looks
follow me
fine.
into church to harass me.
He doesn't
That's
even
how
look like
sick
he's
this
on something.
program is. It's literally to keep the targeted individual agitated, stressed out, and never really have their mind at ease, to make them paranoid. They employ isolation tactics. They basically try to convince your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers that they should be keeping an eye on you for whatever reason. They do this. Some of them they pay off to keep an eye on you.
No one is
look at
getting
you,
paid. That's a
in
lie.
strange ways.
No one is getting
They do
paid.
this through blackmail. They blackmail individuals into stalking you and harassing you, looking at you. And they do this to people who actually are real criminals. Targeted individuals are typically just regular Joes, everyday, ordinary, innocent people. And somehow we've ended up on this ungodly, evil list of people who have their lives literally destroyed on a day-to-day basis. Another way that they coerce everyday citizens into participating in harassing targeted individuals is that they they'll tell them lies like you're under investigation for something, or you've committed a crime.
That's gonna
They should
happen.
keep an eye on you because you're crazy.
That's
As
true
you can see
though.
right now, I am totally not crazy. I'm completely sane, but they've employed these tactics against.
So what they do is that they tell people, they tell you, he explained it totally wrong. That is not exactly how you're told. They actually tell you people need to keep an eye on you. People like you must be watched. It's implied, but no one actually tells you directly. Like these things need to be worded correctly. They never tell you exactly why. They're only like, that's what happens for people like you. That's what you get because of what you did. That's what you get for messing with the right person. But they never actually are, they're always vague. That's one thing that he needs to explain, right? He never explained anything correctly. But what he's saying is actually done. Like that stuff was actually done to me. That was done to me. The only difference is that, well, I didn't go, I didn't suffer the same fate that he did, which is cray cray.
Against me as well, to try to make me appear to be a crazy person. To the targeted individual who hasn't yet discovered that they're a targeted individual, or doesn't know exactly
We talked about manipulation.
what it means to be a targeted individual, this experience can be pretty troubling.
He looks fine
because
though.
all you do is you just notice that people are paying extra attention to you. People are staring at you in strange ways and stuff like that.
That's true
and that can make you
too.
very uneasy naturally. There's a saying that people do anything for money, and basically if they're doing it not only for money but also based on a lie, it's weird because they get this.
So what do you have here? So Andrew Fregoso says you're not being gang stalk. You're a crazy person. I'm totally crazy. I'm so insane. Oh my god, dude. My milkers are super crazy too. My big, huge, giant milkers are crazy.
Sort of altruistic thing because they think they're helping to prevent
I'm going
crime or
crazy.
something like that. So they have that altruistic feeling. Plus, they get money for it. But what they don't realize is that many of those people are just participating in an evil, ungodly program that's designed to debilitate people like me, everyday, ordinary citizens.
So look, let's check this out. So notice that we are covering this person, and then what we get here in the chat is literally a person telling me seek help. That is gang stalking behavior, guys. That's actually gang stalking behavior. Notice that I'm just talking about gang stalking and I'm talking about my experiences, and immediately someone is telling me seek help, seek help, seek help. So that's actually part of gang stalking. Like no one actually listens. Well, normal people are more bound to actually put an ear, but gang stalkers immediately start attacking you. They start immediately telling you need to seek help. You're crazy. See, you're the head of this platform is wrong. Seek help. Like that's normal behavior. Like, and the truth is that I don't care. Like you can say whatever you want about me. Like my job is not to prove myself that I am sane. My job is to open a discussion and to have everyone just hear my testimony of being surrounded by a bunch of crazy psychopathic freaks. I don't even want to call it gang stalking. I want to call it harassment by a bunch of haters, because that's what it is really. It's not a gang stalking. It's gang stalking. It's just pretty much a bunch of haters harassing a single person. That's it. That's all really. Okay, so we're gonna continue.
And to be honest, it's just not fair because we didn't do anything to end up on this list.
There's no list.
Eventually, due to the targeted individual's own fear and apprehension, as well as his friends, coworkers' apprehension that's been given to them in a false way, the targeted individual starts to withdraw and isolates himself, and he's alone, and that basically helps them to continue with the gang stalking program, which is designed to destroy them. So I'm going to talk about some of the particular.
The reason that during my gang stalking operation, the reason that I actually pulled myself away from people was because people were being awkwardly mean and weird. Way too many. So I actually began stepping away from most people because people were just being weird, you know, and that's why I isolated myself, you know. However, gang stalking is something so insane that like just random people harass you, just random people. That's the truth though. But that's all it is. However, with time, this type of harassment actually makes people hear voices and makes their body do weird things. Like I experienced this. That's how insane the harassment is. The harassment is so unbelievable. Like the people that participate in gang stalking is so big that it's insane. It's really really insane. However, it's true. Like I've seen it. I've seen it hundreds of times.
Harass targeted individuals. The first one I want to talk about is
Hey
called
Sadie.
anchoring. Basically,
Hope
with
you're doing
anchoring, and this will sound very strange the way I explain this, but you have what's called control panel stalkers.
What?
These are people who are basically in an operation center, monitoring all the targeted individuals throughout the United States of America. And then you have street level stalkers. These are the people.
So what this guy was experiencing was on his head. This guy was imagining all of this stuff. He was just imagining all of this stuff. But gang stalking makes you have all of these crazy delusions. Gang stalking does that to you. It really, really does that to you. Hey Sadie, what's up? I hope you're doing good. Thank you for stopping by in the chat.
You'll need to unlock your iPad first.
So that's one thing that gang stalking does, is that gang stalking makes you have these crazy delusions. Like for real. I wonder if it was simply schizophrenic or if he was on something. You know what I mean?
Because they actually employ to interact with targeted individuals on a day-to-day basis. But with anchoring, they will set up situations and scenarios to try to convince the targeted individual that a particular person or a particular group is the one that's actually harassing them. For example, I've heard targeted individuals say that they thought everybody in the fire department was out to get them. In my particular scenario, what they do for me is most of the people who harass me and interact with me are wearing sunglasses and stuff like that, very, very dark sunglasses, and they'll make their presence very known. They'll look at me.
Oh, so I'm so glad I caught a live. Hey, I'm so glad you caught one too. So one thing, notice that he's talking about sunglasses. So what happened here to this guy is that it sounds to me like he got sensitized with glasses. So notice that he talks about the sunglasses and that the people went like that. Like, look, let's watch that a little bit again. Watch.
What they do for me is,
listen.
Most of the people who harass me and interact with me are wearing sunglasses and stuff like that, very, very dark sunglasses.
And look how he does
make their presence very known. They'll look at me in weird ways.
That's actually true. So that's how gang, and like if they want to sensitize you to sunglasses, they make sure that you see the sunglasses, that you look at them, and then people are gonna harass you, are gonna be mean to you, and then they're gonna make sure that you see the sunglasses, and that's gonna happen for such a long time, that next time you see anyone with sunglasses, you get kind of a PTSD, and you automatically start assuming that person is a gang stalker. So when you're harassed, like if someone with sunglasses harasses you for a really, 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 really long time, you're gonna have PTSD because of sunglasses, and sunglasses are gonna actually make you feel a negative emotion. But that's it. It sounds like he was sensitized to sunglasses.
To try to make me paranoid or arouse fear in me or something like that. But also, one thing that they did with me is try to convince me that my neighbors were the ones who were actually harassing me. When I would be in my apartment
I wonder what
at night.
they say.
And they were very successful at this for about 2 months. 2 months before I realized that I was actually a targeted individual, or what a targeted individual even was. I would hear voices in my apartment explaining what it was that I was doing. If I went to the kitchen, they'd say stuff. Oh, he's headed to the kitchen now.
Oh my God! He was hearing voices. So when you're hearing voices in your head, when you are with gang stalking harassment, it makes that happen. Like the same thing happened to me when I was lifting my hand, and the voice would say he lifted his hand. But that what he's talking about, that it sounds like it's his neighbors, that was actually his own head. It's like association or concept opportunity. Yeah. So notice that he's talking that the voices of this guy, the voices that this guy was hearing were actually voices that were saying what he was doing. And in other videos, I have told you guys that I heard voices that were saying what I was doing. So that is what your mind does. Like whenever I would be like looking at my hand, or whenever I would smile, the voice would say he's smiling. However, I recognize that these voices were coming from inside of my head. And the thing is that these voices, they sound like they are actually coming out of you. These voices sound like they're outside of you. Like there's absolutely no difference between a voice that has localized properties of being outside of you and a voice that is actually coming from the outside. There isn't. And this is a psychosis. The guy was going through a psychosis. However, if he says that he was gang stalked, it's probably because he was made to hear voices. It was actual harassment. Additionally, like I have told you guys that I have heard voices that sounded behind me, that sounded around me, that sounded like around me, dude, that would say things that I would be doing. But that guy's just gang stalking. That that is a voice that he was hearing, but he didn't know that it was in his head. He didn't know that it was in his head, guys. And if you're a targeted individual, the voices are gonna sound like they're not even yours. Okay, so let's keep going.
I went to the bathroom. They're like, oh, he's headed to the bathroom, and this sounds bad.
So
one particular.
What that is, guys, is like, you know, he had a thought, oh, I'm going to the restroom, but the voice in your head doesn't say I'm going to the restroom. The voice in your head says you're going to the restroom because you believe that the voice isn't yours. The fact that you believe that the voices in your head are not yours changes the dynamic of your own thoughts, and your thoughts sound like someone else is talking to you. So like the I'm hungry sounds like you're hungry. The I need to go to the restroom sounds like he needs to go to the restroom. That's just how it is. That, don't ask me why, I don't know, but the voice in my head talk to me like if they were someone else.
The time I didn't wash my hands, I was like, look at him. He didn't even wash his hands when I was in the bathroom after I used the bathroom. This is the type of stuff that they do, and because I'm hearing these voices, I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, somebody is.
So the reason that the voice told him he didn't wash his hands is because he knew that he was supposed to wash his hands. But you know, the truth is that if you wash your hands all the time, 100%. You know, even if like you don't like pee on your hands or whatever, they're gonna get dry as hell. You know, so like that's why I like to have sanitizer, because if I always just wash them with soap and everything, they're gonna get dry as hell. So actually, I've been washing this so much that my cuticles are like too dry. However, because you feel like you feel that someone is watching you, so like the voice is gonna be like, ew, gross. You know, because it's you. It was actually his own thought. So that's actually what tells you that he had actually good hygiene.
Listening to me, and naturally, you know, you think that it's the person closest to you. So I thought it was my neighbors above me, that somehow they had installed a video camera.
It was a voice in his head.
And I realized that later that.
Notice how the voices in the head of someone makes them feel like it's someone around them, like the neighbors or something. That's how that myth was actually created, is because you start making assumptions when it's actually a voice that you have in your head. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Wasn't the case, but I'll explain in the video later exactly what that is that gave me that false belief. The next method they use that I want to talk about is called brighting. Brighting can be very irritating, and it sounds just like what it is. When you're driving on the road, for example, a person may flash their bright lights in your face. Like when you're oncoming traffic, people will have their bright lights on you. Now, it's not unusual, obviously, to experience somebody with their bright lights on you. I mean, it's not unusual at all. People often forget, you know, that their brights are on when they're riding at night. And then, you know, you just give them that quick flash, and they'll flick it back to the regular dimmer lights. But with brighting, if you give them that quick flash, they don't actually click it back to the regular dimmer lights. They'll keep on.
That wasn't on purpose to bother him.
And this is not something. It's not like a one-time occurrence. This, you know, you expect to have something like that on a long trip happen once or twice, just because that's what happens. It's happenstance. But this will happen like 10 times in one short trip.
So gang stalkers will know while you're driving, and they're gonna be doing that to you. So that notice that doesn't sound out of bounds. It doesn't sound like crazy. So that actually happens. That actually happens. And what this does is that again, more conditioning. So you have a bunch of people harassing you with the headlights a lot. So what happens is that after a while, anytime that you see a headlight on, you start having the suspicion that it was a gang stalker. Again, it gives you PTSD from. That's the truth. Gang stalking is giving you a bunch of PTSD before in a lot of different ways until you are driven crazy. That's actually that's the truth, dude. Anyone can end up like this poor guy. So, but the thing is that once that happens to you, like once you have this type of PTSD done to you, you can, if you see someone with the headlights on accidentally, you're gonna have that PTSD kick in, and you're gonna make the assumption that that person is a gang stalker. That's how people are convinced that everyone is part of it, because you get so confused because you don't know what's purposely done and what isn't.
Not only with oncoming traffic, but people will come up behind you, and basically when they're tailgating you and they have their bright lights on, individuals will come up really
this
quickly.
is true. This is actual gang stalking.
As they're passing you, they'll flick their bright lights on, so they're shining your side mirrors and stuff like that.
Yep.
That's brighting.
And the whole thing with the side mirrors too, it's the mean-spirited nature behind it what makes it so horrible and traumatic, in my opinion. Yeah, no, and so he's talking about, so this guy is also talking about how they shine the lights on your rearview mirrors. That's true. But notice that with time, like when you're driving at night, someone's headlights are gonna be inevitably shown against your rearview mirror when you're driving. So what this causes is that whenever you're just driving and someone puts the headlights on your rearview mirror, you're gonna assume that. Yeah, so and so the thing is that with gang stalking, someone is gonna do that a lot of times, and then when that happens, anytime anyone even accidentally shines their light brights or their brights on your rearview mirror for an extended period of time, you're gonna naturally make the assumption. You're gonna assume that that person is a gang stalker because your PTSD kicked in. So Sadie says, "I've had someone do this to me." Yeah, it's crazy. So when I keep watching the video,
it takes another form as well. When you're in your home, individuals will shine bright lights into the windows of your home.
This happened to me one time.
Pull up in your driveway and shine very bright lights into.
That happened to me on my window. So that happened to me on my window. Like a stranger literally went by my window, and then with a flashlight, they just shone the light like that. I saw it. I never knew who it was. But I never did anything about it. But it only happened one time, and I never experienced that again. But that happened to me once. And the thing about here, like now, like I'm here, but that hasn't happened here at the house at all. It hasn't happened. Nothing like that has happened. Like I will see the car driving, but that's normal. So Raymond is saying. So Raymond Rivera is saying gang stalkers. Know your life patterns. They can run you over and make it seem like it wasn't a car. Anyone can make anything seem like it was a car accident. It's crazy. Okay, so we're gonna move on.
The door, windows of your home. It's not unusual for that type of thing to happen. People do get lost and have to turn around, but this will happen several times in one night. And basically, that's just their way of letting you know that they are present and that it's a way of harassment, that your mind can never really be at ease. Your mind you'll always be paranoid because there's always somebody there to interact with you in these strange ways to arouse fear in you and not let your mind be at ease.
So Sadie is saying creepy. It's so creepy. I saw it so frightening creepy. I'm old apartment. So what do you say, Gahan?
You'll always be paranoid because, there's always somebody there to interact with you in these strange ways. Basically, that's just their way of letting you know that they are present and that it's a way of harassment, that your mind can never really be at ease. Your mind can never. You'll always be paranoid because
Yeah,
there's always somebody there
that's
to
true.
interact with you in these strange ways to arouse fear in you and not let your mind be at ease. The next method that they utilize
He's covering
in
everything,
gang
though.
stalking is what I would call a noise campaign. This can be just as irritating as biting. Basically, the targeted individual is subjected to a constant bout of noise that is never ending. It's designed to keep the targeted individual on edge. It happens at all times of the day.
Oh, that's crazy.
Exacerbated at nighttime. I mean, it's really, really bad at nighttime because the goal is to keep the targeted individual from getting sleep, which is what human beings need. We naturally need sleep for our body's natural restoration. So the goal is to prevent you from sleeping so that you'll be anxious and agitated and edgy. And basically just your stress hormones will be through the roof, and which only exacerbates those feelings of paranoia and fear. And
So, to be honest, the best thing to do when you're getting targeted, as weird as this might sound, is to live with someone. Because the moment that you are by yourself, like if you are by yourself, people can do these things and no one will believe you. But if you live with someone, it's gonna be really, really hard. You know what I mean? It's gonna be pretty much, people are not gonna be able to prove it. When it's two people, then you have more weight, So it's kind of crazy. And the whole thing with the noise campaigns, look, I remember that I was staying at the shelter. I had my windows open, and then like I was hearing a lot of noise, and the noise would continue. But then I looked at the window, and there was no one out there, and that is when I actually realized that all the noise that was happening all the time outside happened only in bouts. But then my mind actually kept replaying the sound. But there was like sometimes my mind was actually recreating the sound that was happening outside of me. It was the craziest experience ever.
well, the particular ways that I've experienced and that I've heard other targeted individuals talk about is like there'll be loud music all around. On YouTube, you'll actually hear the story.
Hang on, I lost
After I use the bathroom.
where I was.
Or twice, just because that's what happens. It's happenstance. But this will happen like 10 times in one short trip. This will happen several times in one night. Somebody there to interact with you. And
Okay, hang on. So the chat is saying, let's see, energy-directed weapons, V2K, neural BCIs are real. No, they're not real. Directed energy weapons, V2K, none of that is real. It is all the mind of the target. That's why the gang stalking playbook exists, to tell targets the truth. That the whole gang stalking thing has nothing to do with directed energy weapons. That's actually a narrative push so to make people crazy. And the thing is that all these tactics are wildly effective. And what else do we have here? A bedtime routine is so important because our bodies will associate certain things with sleep, but it can work the other way around too. We associate certain things with not sleeping too. I never even thought about it, but that's a good point. I'm pretty sure that's true though. That makes total sense. Yeah, good point, and less vulnerable too. Yeah, so like you have to live with another person if you're getting targeted. You have to be with another person. You just have to. Otherwise, people are gonna keep messing with you. And that's the reason, like, I have cameras in the house. Additionally, I'm here at the house the whole time working. I'm either working on, and I'm on live, like I'm here all the time. And so like I literally had to structure my life in such a way so that I wouldn't be targeted. So we're gonna go back to the video.
strange ways to arouse fear in you and not let your mind be at ease. The next method that they utilize in gang stalking is what I would call a noise campaign. Um, this can be just as irritating as brighting.
Okay,
basically, the targeted individuals,
we're already solid. So let's go to
which is what human beings need. We naturally need sleep for our body's natural restoration. So the goal is to prevent you from sleeping so that you'll be anxious and agitated and edgy. And basically just your stress hormones will be through the roof, and which only exacerbates those feelings of paranoia and fear and stuff like that. So how do they do
it will
that?
make you hear voice.
Again,
Constant anxiety will make you hear voices.
Well, the particular ways that I've experienced and that I've heard other targeted individuals talk about is like there'll be loud music all around them, like from their neighbors and stuff like that. Cars will be passing by constantly at very rapid paces, making noises and blowing their car horns and stuff like that.
It sucks that he didn't record any of that.
Screaming and talking loudly. This can be really irritating if you live in an apartment complex. And the craziest tactic that they use to generate noise is they do it through machine-generated sounds. Things like fake dogs barking or chickens crowing and duck calls and stuff like that.
So that, I actually experienced it, but the truth is that when you're in a state of paranoia, the sounds of birds sound weird. The sounds of dogs sound weird. And the thing is that like there's no such thing as like fake it's like machine generated things. Like it sounds weird. It feels like the sounds, like when you're in a state of paranoia, everything is gonna sound weird. Roman Rivera is saying VTP, everything you're saying about energy is there's no directed energy weapons in gang stalking. It's a myth. It's the myth pushed by gang stalkers themselves. So this guy is saying Raymond Rivera is saying VTP, everything you're saying about directed energy weapons, V2K, Neuralink, and BCIs is wrong. No, you know that. Look, so Raymond Rivera is one of the people that keeps pushing the narrative that directed energy weapons are real. Do not believe anything that Raymond Rivera is saying. Just don't. Because gang stalkers themselves push the narrative of directed energy weapons. They want you to believe that directed energy weapons are real. Because the moment that you sound even more crazy, like, and the thing is that if you believe that you're being harassed with directed energy weapons, once that happens, hey, you lose all the power to control your mind. You stop being targeted by documenting people, by actually post everything that happens to you. You post it online with a picture of the face of the person, and you post what they did. And that's going to discourage people from actually harassing you. You just have to. And people are going to call you crazy, but that's the job of gang stalkers. Gang stalkers are meant to call you crazy. And look, what sounds more plausible? I'm being harassed by the government because of directed energy weapons, or I'm hearing voices and there's something wrong with my mind. The mind. Anyone that believes that directed energy weapons are real has been brainwashed by other gang stalking content. Just know that, guys. If you're a targeted individual here, checking this, watching this right now, or literally just know that directed energy weapons are not using gang stalking. Gang stalking itself, the harassment, actually creates your mind to hear voices. It creates weird sensations on your body. It actually creates physiological pain. I experienced it, and now that I actually was able to pull myself away from gang stalking, I don't feel any of that. None of it. It's all gone.
It's really strange things to just constantly generate noise so that you can never get relaxation as a targeted individual.
He was already hearing voices, so what that means is that if he was already hearing voices, if he believes that there's a duck quacking somewhere, he's gonna hear it. Because psychosis does that. If you believe that there's someone watching you, you're gonna see a shadow of someone watching you. When you are in a state of paranoia, that's actually gonna make there's a state of mind where your mind creates evidence of what you believe. So if you believe that people are like going quack, 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 or you know that it sounds like digital, that's because those sounds were actually created by his own mind. his mind was creating those sounds. But the thing is that he doesn't consider the possibility of his mind doing that, because that had never happened to his mind had never done that before. So what that means is that the only thing that is making sense for him at that point is that there was a machine that was making that sound, because there was no ducks around. So, and he was hearing ducks nonetheless. So that means that his mind was creating all of these sounds, but what made more sense for him at that point was believing that someone was generating noise. It feels like it's digital, but it's not. It's the mind of the target. Moving on.
And like I said, they accomplish these tasks by paying your neighbors.
No one is paying anything.
To your neighbors, telling
so
you know.
The whole thing about paying the neighbors, all that stuff, he got it from the internet. He got it from the internet. Gang stalkers themselves are pushing the narrative about being paid with gift cards or whatever. Like all of that, he got it from the internet, and the internet is the place with the most misinformation about gang stalking possible.
You did something wrong, and so their neighbors actually think that they're helping and stopping a crime or some sort of investigation or something like that, or they blackmail your neighbors. So if your neighbors actually have.
So the thing is that gang stalking is actually a group of people so big, and they do this out of sadism. So like people that are gang stalkers are actually psychopaths. They are psychopaths, and they actually find joy in driving people crazy. That's what you have to understand. Most people don't realize that there are so many psychopaths around us. And the moment that you notice that if you're getting targeted, only targets will know how many psychopaths exist, because they're just so many, and no one really believes it, because you really do not believe that there's so many evil people, but there are a lot of people that are psychopaths. There really are.
Done something wrong or something like that. My personal experiences with a noise campaign, I want to talk about a little bit about that. The one I want to talk about most is the one that made me actually realize that I was a targeted individual. After experiencing so much harassment in Las Cruces, New Mexico, where I was living at the time for a while, I decided I was going to go to Houston just to get away for a while. I had several friends in Houston. That's where I used to live and where I used to work. So I went to go visit my friend Kimberly Snag, and while I was in Houston, I was staying in Kimberly's mom's house, which is in Fifth Ward, a real quiet neighborhood, mostly old people.
Sounds nice.
Residential area. But while I was there, every 10 minutes, cars would be flying down the street, just flying down the street, making at rapid paces, making loud noise. And about
he was already sensitized.
Or so, I would hear car horns, like people blowing their car horns, and the goal was obviously to keep me.
He was already sensitized
campaign
when that happened.
Not really get to relax. And the strangest thing, and this is the thing that really picked.
Gang stalking follows you because after you have been harassed for a while, your mind is actually manipulated to keep the patterns going. Like if you were sensitized to car horns, wherever you go, you're gonna know the car horns. Just the sound of them is gonna bring you PTSD, and you're gonna feel that it was purposely done to harass you. That's just how you're gonna feel. But that is gang stalking. Gang stalking sensitizes you to loud engines, and sensitizes you to car horns. And when you're sensitized, you will believe that these are done to mess with you, regardless of where you go, because that's what gang stalking does. Gang stalking conditions your mind to believe that.
Piqued my mind to, hey, there's something more going on here. This is kind of crazy. Behind the house, I kept hearing this strange cock-a-doodle-doo noise of like a rooster, but it was the same cock-a-doodle-doo without any variation to it.
Notice that there was no variation on the cock-a-doodle-doo. That's because it was his mind. His mind was creating that. That's why it was the same cock-a-doodle-doo, because he was hearing voices and his mind was replaying the same sound. I'm telling you this from experience.
So it was obvious that it was like a machine and it wasn't a real rooster.
That's because it's your mind replaying the same sound.
On top of that, it was like from 2 to, it was nonstop, but I noticed it when it was like from 2 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
So So VTP is saying, VTP, you only know the little, I don't know what VTP is, but let me tell you, I know everything about gang stalking, homeboy.
You know, which is kind of atypical for a rooster to be crowing nonstop from 2 to 4 in the afternoon.
See, it was crowing from 2 to 4 because it was his mind replaying the same thing. It's his mind. That's the only thing that makes sense. There would be no rooster at that time, right? There would be no rooster at that time, and there was no variation in the sounds of the rooster because his sound was replaying the same memory. Only the auditory part of the memory.
For several days, because I stayed in Kim's mom's house for like 3 or 4 days, and it went on for several days. The cars and the rooster and all that.
He was probably hearing a lot of cars too. Like if he was hearing roosters, that means that the cars, he was probably imagining them too, which is insane.
And that's the thing that really made me realize, you know what, something more is going on here.
People mess with your mind.
You know, me just having these bad experiences in Las Cruces, and when I was in Houston, people continue to follow me around in like stores and stuff like that too, and really make their presence felt. But I'll talk about that a little bit later. Some of the other noise campaign experiences I had when I was in Las Cruces, my neighbors were constantly making noise. I lived in this apartment complex, Quail Ridge Apartments, for a year and a half, and I never had any issues with noise. But in the last few months that I was there, it was constantly noise around me. My neighbors were constantly playing loud music, constantly talking loud and screaming and stuff like that. And one particular night,
that was probably done to keep
the neighbor above me was playing music really, really loud. So I didn't want to be that neighbor that complains on everyone. So what I did was I just put some earplugs in my ear.
So he should have complained from the first time. Like if you are targeted and you are experiencing a noise campaign, you talk to the neighbors or you call the cops. That's the right solution. That's all you have to do. You pull out your phone and you record the sound. And this is, look, if you are a targeted individual and you want to see if you're hearing voices or not, what you do is that you do a voice memo, and then you just hear the voices, and you keep it with you by your ear. Because if a microphone gets it and your ear gets it, the chances are that you're gonna get it on the voice memo of your phone. So then what you do is that whenever you hear the voice, to find out if you are hearing voices or not, you replay the voice memo. And if you don't hear it on the recording, that means that it's in your head. And if you hear it, that means that there's actually noise around you. That was the one technique that I used, my solution to figuring out whether or not I was hearing voices. I made sure to have my voice recorder on, and I used it to actually find out if I was hearing voices or not. And half the time, I actually was hearing voices, which is the craziest thing. But I had a test. That is the test that you do if you're hearing voices and you're getting targeted. Okay? If you hear earplugs, you're still gonna hear the voices if they're coming from your head. That's the craziest thing too.
Tried to nestle in and go to sleep.
I did
shortly
that
after I put these earplugs in my ear. My bed actually is on the wall adjoining one of my neighbors, the neighbor that was behind me, and the headboard is literally on that adjoining wall. As soon as I put the earplugs in, I started hearing these extremely loud sex sounds. Now, mind you, I've lived here a year and a half. I've slept in my apartment a year and a half, and I've never heard any noises come out of this apartment, sex or otherwise. But on this particular night, well, I'd heard for those few months, I heard music and stuff like that, and loud talking and screaming. But on this particular night, as soon as I put the earplugs in, these loud sex sounds just started coming out of nowhere.
Oh, that's weird.
So that kind of let me know, okay, this is part of this stupid harassment that I'm experiencing. And another noise campaign experience I had, this one is particularly bad and particularly devastating because it's actually from a family friend, and that was very hurtful. but I was staying at my friend Monica Johnson's home with her family.
So the person here is saying my gay friend VTP. What does VTP mean? And he's saying you are wrong about what you're saying. So look, notice that. So that's the job of a gang stalker. A gang stalker that when you know the truth is gonna keep pushing that narrative. You are wrong. You are wrong. And it's like who is he? Raymond Rivera is nobody. He doesn't know anything unless he's a gang stalker, because only gang stalkers know. So anyone that is so sure about anyone that so confidently tells you that you're wrong, that means that they know the truth. They're probably a gang stalker. And there's two possibilities. They're either crazy because they hear voices and they're convinced that directed energy weapons are real, or they are a gang stalker and they know that I am here telling you the truth about directed energy weapons, and he's still trying to gaslight me. It's like, no, homeboy, I know the truth. I possibly know more about gang stalking than you ever will. So if you're targeted, just know that this is the actual behavior of gang stalkers. If you go online and if you tell the truth about directed energy weapons, you're gonna have a bunch of people telling you you're wrong, because that's what they do. So just know that directed energy weapons, it's all in your mind. It's all in your mind. And the evidence that you are gonna know when you are getting targeted is hearing voices and feeling directed energy weapons. Those are the actual symptoms of your mind being destroyed. Please understand that.
And I think I know why they participated in my stalking. And I hate to spill the beans on anybody, but this is kind of my last words. But her husband Marshall smokes marijuana, and so I think honestly that they were blackmailed into participating in my stalking.
No, they're just haters.
On some sort of
they're just psychopaths.
He would, face criminal prosecution for marijuana possession or marijuana use or something like that. But what happened while I was there is that, and this wasn't the first time I stayed in their home, by the way, so this is completely atypical. But while I was there, everyone was talking really, really loudly and screaming at all hours of the night. There were 3 TVs on in the house, and they were
so that he wouldn't sleep,
just blaring. I was trying to sleep on the couch in the living room, and Monica and Marshall's bedroom is actually downstairs. They had their TV on in the bedroom, and it was just blaring on full blast. And then at about 3 a.m.
I actually experienced someone do that to me. So I went with someone, and this person was like, oh, let's hang out so we can sleep together. And I was okay. So I went, and next thing I know, this person turned on the TV really loud. I was like, immediately after that, I was like, okay, this guy wants me to not sleep. So I left. So this person was kept awake by a bunch of people, dude. This person was kept awake by a bunch of people.
Monica came out the room, walked outside, and then came back in, slammed the door, was screaming at the top of her lungs about how her daughter Brittany's red SUV had just been repossessed because she missed a payment. And it was so strange because I don't know how she could have heard from where she was at in the house any car come up and any tow truck come up to repossess the car, because I actually would have had a better vantage point, and there's nothing wrong with my hearing, to have heard a tow truck. I heard no tow truck whatsoever, but what I did hear was her making all sorts of noise.
Oh my God.
Basically to try to keep me from relaxing and getting any sleep that particular
I feel like his family was trying to make him crazy
the
for
next,
something.
Harassment technique I want to talk about is ghosting. And this isn't actually one that I experienced, but other targeted individuals, when you watch their videos, they'll talk about it, and you'll get to hear their stories. But basically, this is where they will rearrange a targeted individual's personal belongings. For example, might break into their house, which...
So that I experienced when I was at the shelter. And it sucks because when someone is messing with your things, it's crazy. It just feels so annoying. Like right now, so if you are being harassed and you're experiencing people actually moving your stuff around, that means that there's someone around you that wants to make you crazy. that means that someone wants to make you crazy. So what you do is that you simply make sure to lock everything, or you move somewhere, because there's someone in your house that wants to make you crazy. If someone keeps moving your stuff, or your stuff disappears, you need to make sure to put cameras. Like, you want to make sure to put as much security as you can possibly afford. Security becomes like the first type of thing that you have to invest on, for real. So the person that says, I know a lot more than you about gang stalking, he is saying the Department of Homeland Security USA puts cameras in people's homes. So like, that's how you know when someone is a gang stalker, when someone is claiming that this is happening. Like this right here, this Raymond is a gang stalker, we all can see. So like, gang stalkers are actually their job is to be pushing out the narrative of the government. Like all of that is a lie. The whole thing with the government, it's a giant conspiracy theory that is so unbelievably crazy. But remember that the gang stalking playbook is to tell you the truth and to help you understand gang stalking, so that you will be free from it. So what are you gonna believe more? That the Department of Homeland Security USA puts cameras in your homes, or that there's something wrong with your mind at that point in time? You know what makes more sense? Like, here you can see that Ramon Rivera is obviously crazy. He is crazy, but because he believes that the Department of Homeland Security USA puts cameras in people's homes. So please, whoever you are, if you're watching this, this chat right here, use this as an example of typical gang stalking behavior online. Gang stalkers online are gonna be pushing the narrative that directed energy weapons are real, that directed energy weapons are being pushed on people. Like, that is gang stalking. Gang stalking, the whole part of gang stalking is that you are meant to believe these crazy theories. However, the truth is that it is all the manipulation of the mind. That is the biggest secret of gang stalking that no one wants you to know, that no one actually wants to tell you. Everyone is trying to be like, who are they? What are they doing? How are they doing? They have directed energy weapons. No, they're a bunch of narcissists. They're narcissists. That's it. Narcissists and gang stalkers are the same thing. So notice that this person is saying, you don't know what you're talking about. So like, and this person claims to know more than I do, you know. So like, this person is just lying. It's just lying. So just understand that, okay? So let's look at his profile so you can see. Let's look at his handle. So that's that guy. So look at how he has one subscriber and he has like nothing else. Raymond Rivera. So this guy is a gang stalker. Be careful with this person. This person wants you crazy. Okay? That person wants to make you crazy. So just please be careful. Thank you for being here, Raymond, because that's exactly you're exactly what we need to illustrate actual gang stalking behavior. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. Okay, moving on.
In and of itself is wrong. They'll break into their house, rearrange their furniture, or rearrange things on their desk or in their bedroom. They'll actually rearrange lawn ornaments and stuff like that are in the yard. So when the targeted individual returns back to their home, they see that things are sort of out of place.
Yeah.
And that obviously arouses fear and paranoia and apprehension and stuff like that to further exacerbate this evil, ungodly program that they participate in.
So this, we're gonna watch the movie Gaslight, but 1944 Gaslight. We're gonna watch it maybe tomorrow, and that way we learn more about what moving the stuff around is. So the movie Gaslight. Give me a second. So watch the movie Gaslight. So gaslighting is exactly that. It's when people move your stuff, and then when you remember that you put it one way, however it's not there, and then they're like, oh, you're crazy, no one move your stuff. That's gang stalking. That's exactly what was happening to this guy. This guy was targeted. This guy was a target.
Try to harass targeted individuals. The next technique I want to talk about is called mimicry. This involves when a targeted individual encounters one of their stalkers, the stalker will actually literally do everything, the same movements, same motions that the targeted individual does.
Like a
So it's
mime.
very irritating. And these particular stalkers make their presence very known. I had this experience once when I was in Weewaw at the Easy Serve gas station. I pulled into the gas station to pump some gas. And when I pulled in, this guy comes from behind the pump next to me, and he has.
So notice that once I said that, Raymond Rojas is beginning to act all weird. He says, "Yeah, P Diddy is innocent," or you know what I mean. So notice that he's just behaving all weird. So that's typical gang stalking. So when they cannot convince you, they try to deflect the problem. They just begin acting all weird. So like that's how you can confirm that. So Raymond Rivera is just a weird gang stalker, you know. So be careful with that person.
These dark sunglasses, really dark sunglasses, which is my particular stimuli that they've used.
See, he was sensitized to the sunglasses.
Really dark sunglasses. He looks at me and then he starts waving his hands and moving his head to try to.
Oh my God, that happened to me. That actually happened to me. I was going like this. I was waiting at the lobby of a hotel, and then when I did that, someone just went like really fast, and then when I turned back, I just like ignored it because that was just really weird. But someone did that. Someone did that thing to me. Someone did. Two people did that to me. It was in 7 years that actually only happened twice.
Basically, get my attention. Hey, I'm here, and I ignored him at first. And then I went to go start washing my window. So I'm washing the front
Next
window.
time, just be like, freaking weirdo.
Window. He starts washing his front window, and he's looking at me while he's washing his front window with these dark shades on. So then I move to the side window, and he moves to the side window.
Stop looking at
me with these dark shades on.
Look somewhere else.
And it was really creepy. Everything.
The best way to actually get rid of gang stalkers is when you don't look at them. Like if someone is being weird, just like that, you just like turn in the other direction and then just start wiping your windshield the other direction. That's how you do it. So you don't want them. You don't want to look at them. You want to get them out of your field of vision as much as possible.
I did. He did. But you know, I ignored it. That's just one of the things that targeted.
They're trying to annoy you to get on your nerves, so you're always thinking about gang stalking.
Frustrated or angry or paranoid or nervous, or you know, start to kind of question, you know, what in the world is going on with me. But I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that there's nothing going on with me. I mean, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but one of power, one of love, and one of a sound mind. And I thank Him for having a sound mind. I know that nothing is going on with me, and that it was absolutely just part of this evil, ungodly program. Next.
Wow, dude.
What if
but
recording high-quality content, editing?
Did you know that he actually? That's crazy. It's over. I wanted the rest.
Hitting record. With Riverside, it's just that. Riverside makes the entire process.
I wanted the rest of the story. What happened? Why are you doing this to me? Is there a part 2? Oh, the 2 hour. Here we go.
All over my body. Dear Heavenly Father, I just. But they can also see fictional images. So any. I had the ambulance called. I was at work. I had to encourage all of you to read that book if you have questions. I'm working on it because I was working under a time deadline.
Is this different? I think this is different.
There are thousands of targeted individuals in the United States of America.
I think this is
and we unfortunately are subjected to some pretty
do we watch this already?
Treatment, which I'll detail in this video. And as sick as this may sound, I've even had stalkers follow me into church.
Yeah, we saw this.
At rapid, they'll actually rearrange.
We saw this.
I will be looking at them. The next gang stalking technique I want to talk about is called hacking. I'll be driving along the street and 5-10 cars will pass. I just realized that there was maybe more going on.
We never even saw the thing
than
about
meets the eye in my particular scenario, and I started to come to the realization that that I was a targeted individual. Viruses
saw
and
this.
malware were downloaded onto my Toshiba laptop.
The other video skipped this
I
part.
would literally be working on my computer on something, and then all of a sudden my mouse would start moving and be clicking on things totally out of my control. Like I'm not touching the mouse.
You know, this is gonna sound weird, but that actually happened to me one time. It happened to me one time, but then after that, it never happened again. So I stopped thinking about it. I was like, oh, it just happened. It happened one time, but after that, it never happened again. Never again. Never again. It just happened one time when I was actually staying at a casino's parking lot.
Or anything, and the mouse was just kind of wiggling around and clicking on things.
But that's
and opening
as
things
bad as
and
it
closing
gets.
things and all sorts of. It was a very weird.
It's not gonna happen all the
experience.
time. It's only gonna happen a little bit because most
and of
people are
course,
not savvy.
Again, is designed to cause fear and apprehension and paranoia. One night in particular, I was trying to buy a book by Renee Pittman Mitchell, who is a targeted individual who has written several books on her experience as a targeted individual, advice books and stuff like that, how to cope with this experience. And I was trying to purchase this book from Amazon, and my phone, the browser on my phone kept closing on its own. And mind you, I've had this phone now. I had that. I don't have that phone anymore, but at the time I had that phone for about just shy of 2 years, and I'd never experienced anything like that at all when I was on my
That's
phone.
weird.
But I'd be on my phone and trying to buy this book, and all of a sudden the browser just closes, just shuts down.
Technical
Another
difficulty.
experience I had with hacking.
Don't assume that anything that happens weird technology-wise that is because of hacking. That is the worst thing that you can do. Always assume that there is something wrong. Always assume that there is something wrong with the phone, but never assume that it's because of hacking, regardless of what happens.
I recently moved from Las Cruces, New Mexico, to go back home, hoping that all of this would end.
Also, so let's look at Raymond. So Raymond is saying, VTP, you are wrong for discrediting this man who has fallen due to suicide. You are wrong. I'm not discrediting anyone. I'm telling you what actually happened to him. That is, he didn't understand at the time.
When I went back home, so I moved to Weehawken, Florida. It's a small town, about 1,700 people. And I might be being generous saying 1,700 people. But I pretty much figured in this small town, there's no way they can stalk me. There's no way they can bother me. I'm fine. One of the ways that they did, I got a job working at the Taunton Family Children's Home, doing some small legal work and stuff like that.
And
for them.
He was
One of the
educated.
projects I had, there was a mom who had her daughter stolen away from her by the child's biological father, who had not been in her life for a very long time. And so I was working on some family law documents to try to get her daughter returned to her. And I'm not a family lawyer, and this was based on Tennessee law, and I'm not licensed to practice in Tennessee. So I'd spent
This guy was smart
on this particular document. And when I finished the document, they basically shut down the computer. The mouse starts moving and closing out things and shut down the computer. So when I turn the computer back on, thank God, the auto recovery saved my document.
Oh, good.
And it wasn't, I didn't lose all the file and
All
all
the
the data
work,
I had
yeah.
been working on, because I was working under a time deadline. And that just goes to show how heartless and evil that this program really is. I mean, I'm trying to help
That's
a mom
insane.
get her child back,
So
you're taking over my computer to try to.
So the whole thing, look, I experienced the mouse moving one time. However, look, and one thing that I'm gonna tell you about gang stalking, look, it seems like he got messed with a lot with his tech. I was messed more with my car. So like gang stalkers, I feel like they find like one thing that they can always be messing you with. And with him, it sounds like he was his tech, but with me was my car. And here, since I was living in my car, and I was using the Wi-Fi from my phone, there was nothing much that could be done on my tech. You know what I mean? Like, there's not people that are savvy in computers that are going to be in San Diego driving around. That's just not going to happen. So I mean, the thing is that, you know, one thing that happened to me that I don't talk about a lot is the experience with my car. But I know that someone actually managed to clone the key of my car. And that's how people mess with my car. It's just the truth, you know. And it is what it is. And, you know, I don't doubt that this guy got messed with. I really like what his technology was. But the thing is that in gang stalking, people are always talking about how computer hacking is like such an integral part of gang stalking. They make it appear like if everything that you see, everything that you do online is always being watched. And the truth is that that's not true. Is that it is going to be done here and there a little bit to mess with you. But there's not going to be anyone that is going to be completely and fully dedicated to destroying you. That's not true. So just understand that. Like I don't doubt that he was hacked, but it's not an integral part of what it is. Like nowadays, phones are more secure than ever. So I'm sure that is actually less prominent now. So Riemann says VTP, you only know 30% of what you're talking about. So look at how BTP now is making an actual exact percentage of what I'm talking about. Like he's not making any sense. You only know 30% of what you're talking about. Like that makes no sense. Dude, you are such a narcissist. So just please understand that like gang that this it sounds like this guy actually was actually hacked. Like he's making it like it I'm convinced that this guy was hacked because but the thing is that you cannot really misunderstand like nothing can happen to you so much. I mean, the times too, like when did this happen? I don't know when this happened, but like tech, the reliability of tech actually changes too. But tech also fails like enough. You know what I mean? Like it still fails people. Tech is not perfect. So if you feel like you're getting hacked, just know that it's gonna hardly ever happen, especially if you're almost done on your phone. If I have a weird experience with my tech, I'm gonna let you know. Trust me.
Kill the document. I mean, that's the kind of evil ungodliness we're dealing with this particular program. In my experience, after that experience. I went to Mr. David and Miss Abby, who run the children's home, and told them, look, something was going on with my computer. And they had a tech guy come in and download a bunch of antivirus software, and he'd show me that. And so since that has happened, I haven't really had to deal with the hacking aspect of things anymore.
It sounds like it's just something happened
prior.
Like a
the thing I want to talk about now is the most critical aspect of gang stalking, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's kind of the hardest to believe as well.
Ooh, let's see.
But it's real. It's very real. It sounds very science fiction. It's very
directed energy weapons,
and it's the linchpin that kind of holds their whole program together and enables them to keep it a secret from everybody else in society. And it's called electronic harassment.
Oh no, that's your mind, dude. It's your mind.
This is by far the most creepy and frightening.
Electronic harassment is all your mind.
Arsenal. Some of this technology.
That's why he got so bad, because he didn't see it.
Written by Dr. Robert Duncan. This book is called Project Soul Catcher: Secrets of Cyber and Cybernetic Warfare.
All of that is a lie.
Dr. Robert Duncan actually designed.
Notice that he says that it's what holds the whole operation together. The moment that targets understand that directed energy weapons are actually the mind of the target, when you feel the weird sensations, we're going to see what else he says. But once targets actually understand that, only then you will be free. The narrative of directed energy weapons is what holds everything together. And once you understand that it is your mind, once you understand that, you are actually going to be able to set yourself free. You're going to be able to see it.
a lot of the technology, or participated in designing a lot of this technology. And so he details it in this book. And that's how you know it's real, because there is a legitimate professional scientist who talks about
it's not using
the technology and its capabilities.
Nope, it's not using gang stalking. Nope.
And I would encourage all of you to read that book if you have questions.
That's what makes people believe that you're crazy, but that's what makes him believe that he's right. It's it's crazy how it works.
That it very much is possible. First thing I want to talk about is nanofibers. Through nanotechnology and chemtrails, the control panel stalkers who are basically in an operations center watching the target individuals are able to monitor and induce all sorts of
things
in
the
target individual. So this is very freaky. They're able to manipulate a target individual's bodily functions, things.
So that is the worst thing. That is what actually makes targets appear crazy. Is that all of that is a lie. This guy sounds like he was an actual targeted individual, because he talks about the behavior on the action, but notice that he's not even focusing on the behavior of the actions of none of the manipulation. He's not even talking about what people are doing. He's just talking about gang stalking is a big conspiracy. Gang stalking, you have to address it. You have to address it as people trying to drive you crazy.
Like their pain receptors.
So here, energy directed weapons, V2K Neuralink, and VCIs are real. No, they're not.
Stress hormones, stuff like that. It is absolutely
like Neuralink is something like Elon Musk, and it's really in development. No one's gonna have it readily available. Like you're already proving you're wrong right off the bat. Directed energy weapons, no. A single directed energy weapon costs about $70,000. And no one is going to be paying $70,000 and be carrying a thing that is worth $70,000 walking around with it. No. And lastly, BCIs. I don't know what BCIs
mean. They're able to speed up a target individual's heart rate.
No, that's called paranoia, and that's called having a panic attack.
And they're able to, and they also have in their arsenal something that's called direct energy weapons. And I'll explain that in a little bit. In my experience with a direct energy weapon, it is. I mean, it is. So
I know he believes that it's real, but it's not real.
Here's been my personal experience with electronic harassment. And
I've experienced electronic harassment, but it's not electronic harassment. It's your own body creating those sensations. It's your own gang stalking makes your mind produce voices, sounds, and it makes your body feel weird sensations, including pain, including like a sensation that you can talk to. It's insane. It's the craziest thing.
I've actually been induced to have panic attacks on 2 separate occasions. This is before I realized I was a targeted individual. I shouldn't say panic attacks. What I thought were panic attacks. Basically, my heart rates just started speeding up very, very rapidly. It was just going.
It feels like it's coming out of nowhere. It just feels like it comes out of nowhere, but it's your mind. It's your mind. You have to sleep. Like, we don't know how long he slept or how long he didn't. We don't know how heavy he was harassed, but gang stalking does that to people.
Full blast, and so it kind of freaked me out. I thought I was actually having a heart attack, and so I went to the hospital. I had the ambulance called. I was at work. I had the ambulance called to my job. They took me to the hospital, and they said, "Oh, nothing's wrong. Everything's normal. Your EKG is just fine." And I'm thinking, well, how can my EKG be fine? Because my heart rate was going 90 miles an hour.
It was his mind. It wasn't even his heart.
And so I just resolved that I was having panic attacks. But now I know a little bit more about the technology, I realized that.
So you feel like a weird sensation? I felt that actually one time, but it was like right above. It was more like a palpitation that was happening in front of my heart. It wasn't even happening like in my heart because I would have felt it, but it was more like a sensation on my chest that had nothing to do with my heart when I felt something like that. So look at this, Raymond Rivera. Money is no object to the Department of Homeland Security. So look at how much this guy is pushing the narrative. Like, no, dude. So that's typical gang stalking behavior. So like anyone that is pushing that narrative, the oh my god, money is no object to the Department of Homeland Security USA. Like, that's a gang stalker. Don't believe that. That person is trying to lead you astray.
I was not having panic attacks, and this is kind of when the harassment first started, and that this was just part of the game. It was part of this sick game to make me paranoid and to drive me crazy. Um, the direct energy weapons. I mean, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible, guys. And I would not wish this.
It's on your mind, dude, which is the
even my
craziest
worst
thing.
enemy. It is such a frightening experience. I got hit with direct energy weapons twice.
So I want to show you something. So notice that this guy Raymond is saying you are wrong for discrediting this man. So notice that this guy immediately, like, I'm telling you the truth about gang stalking, and Raymond Rivers is automatically trying to make me have a guilt trip. You know, and I'm not even discrediting the guy. I'm not discrediting anything. I'm just telling the truth of what it actually is. But here we have Raymond Rivera telling me that I am wrong for discrediting a man. I'm not discrediting him. I'm telling you guys actually what happened to him. And he was a targeted individual. You can tell. I'm not saying that anything of him is false. I am saying what actually happened to him that he didn't understand. But notice that Raymond is actually saying telling me, dude, that he's trying to make me feel guilty, dude. That's more manipulation right there, right on the chat. You guys see it. That is gang stalking behavior. I'm only here telling you the truth, and someone is already trying to give me a guilt trip, guys. Notice that. And then he later on keeps going. And then he later on keeps going, and then he tells me, you only know 30% of what you're talking about. And then he goes and says, energy-directed weapons and ultra... Like, that's... Gang stalkers are going to be pushing that narrative. That's what gang stalkers do. I'm just so glad that we have all of this stuff on video. If any target is watching this video right now or in the future, just understand that is typical behavior of gang stalking online. Gang stalkers are going to be pushing the narrative because as long as you believe in direct energy weapons, as long as you do not understand what's actually happening to you, they can actually destroy you.
And I can just explain to you what I felt. That's the most I can do because I don't fully understand the technology. But literally, in one moment, I'm just fine. And in the next moment, I'm extremely intensely hot. And I have like this tingling feeling literally all over my body, where I've just been heating up, almost like I'm cooking inside, like my insides are cooking.
It feels weird, but it's your mind.
In the sweat, and it only lasted for like a minute or two, but it leaves you so dizzy and disoriented and just out of it that, I mean, you're frightened. You are frightened, and you're wondering like.
So look at this guy. Everyone is saying you don't know what you're talking about, don't I? So notice that this person is really persistent, and when I'm telling the truth, this guy is pushing. No, it's direct energy weapons. Like, it's direct energy weapons. Like, notice that no one in the world is sure about direct energy weapons. Only gang stalkers that are trying to convince you that direct energy weapons are real are actually gonna try to convince you. Only they claim to know everything. You know what I mean? How is this person trying to convince you that there are direct energy weapons? Don't you think it's weird? You don't know what you're talking about.
What in the world is going on with me? And that's the direct energy weapons, and that's what I experienced there. And like I said, I wouldn't wish that on even my worst enemy.
It's not a direct energy weapon.
And the last technology I want to talk about, and this is Dr. Duncan's, really his work. A lot of this is his work, and this is what's known as psychotronic weapons. I would encourage any of you to kind of just Google that term, psychotronic weapons.
No,
and this is voice of God.
Gang stalkers push this narrative.
Or voice of God technology. And image
That's the gang
induction
stalker's
technology.
duty to keep
And
pushing
this
the
sounds very
narrative
freaky
of
and science
energy
fiction,
weapons.
but it's also very real. Again, I would encourage you to take a look at his book.
Don't.
If you don't believe me, or just YouTube Dr. Robert Duncan, and you may even find some videos about his technology on YouTube.
Technology narratives are the worst thing. They're bad for
through the
you.
use of microwave radio frequency radiation, control panel stalkers are able to literally induce sound into the cochlea of a targeted individual's ear.
It was your mind, dude.
To make it appear as though they are hearing voices. And I know that sounds totally crazy.
You hear voices, but
get the book. find out something about Robert.
You're
Duncan,
hearing
and you'll see
voices.
that he's-
Voices sound like they're coming from your head. There's voices that
And
sound
this
like
is
they're
the
coming from out
linchpin
of
of the entire gang stalking program. Because to the target individual that doesn't know that they're a
I
target
can make
individual,
anyone hear voices.
or doesn't
with
know
the methodology
exactly
that gang stalkers taught me.
how this technology works and fits into the whole scheme of them being a target individual, all you know is that you're hearing voices. You're hearing voices in your ear. And so
You hear voices outside of you, but you just don't know it because there's no difference.
you start to think
You don't hear them.
maybe you're schizophrenic or you're having some sort of psychotic episode. And if you try to explain to somebody else, hey, I'm hearing voices in my ear, then naturally they're going to have the same conclusion. They're going to think, okay, you're being schizophrenic or you're having some kind of psychotic episode. And reality is that you're not. It's these voice of God weapons.
No, so notice that this person hasn't made the connection with hearing voices and gang stalking harassment. That's that's the missing link. People don't see the link between the gang stalking harassment and the voices. People don't see that. And that's where the job of people online with the theories like this person, like the person here, like Raymond, people that have worked for the Department of Agencies Justice explain this. Like their job is to make sure that you don't see the connection between hearing voices and the gang stalking harassment and your mental state. They want you to believe that the voices have nothing to do with your mind, because that is actually preventing you from actually addressing what is actually happening. Gang stalking harassment with the loud noises, with the sensitizing, and all of that actually makes you hear voices. It makes your mind do weird things. And then if you go online and you notice that he went online and he began having all these things about electronic harassment. When this happened, then he's instead of trying to understand. So when people believe a lie, they stop looking for the truth. And this guy believed the lie of directed energy weapons of harassment. You know, there's people that post every day about gang stalking, about directed energy weapons. There's an actual push of directed energy weapons being used on people. There really is, and it's the craziest thing ever. So the narrative of directed energy weapons is false.
And this only serves to further isolate the person with their isolation tactics, because if you tell, a friend or a family member or a coworker or acquaintance, hey, I'm hearing these voices, those people are naturally going to want to stay away from you.
Look at this person. NK Ultra and Counterflow is real. So that has nothing to do with gang stalking. Stop spreading misinformation.
And because you're trying to come to them for help or explain to them something you have, then you're going to naturally withdraw when you're pushed away like that. And so you're only further isolated. But please, again, review the book. You'll see that it's real. The next thing I want to talk about is the image induction technology. It's sort of based on the same principles in biotechnology as the voice of God weapons. Control panel stalkers are literally able to induce images into a targeted individual's mind. This is typically done while the targeted individual is sleeping. They'll induce images into your mind, which of course, ends up turning into one of your dreams or something like that. It's really...
I've had crazy dreams that have to do with gang stalking. They're insane. And I've had a crazy dream connect with a real gang stalking activity. It was insane. Like, I actually dreamt about like a freaking a Coke bottle, and then I went and drove and walked to my car because I had to go somewhere, and then the same Coke bottle that I dreamt was in front of my car. It was the craziest thing. However, please don't believe regardless of what you see, regardless of what you hear, regardless of what anyone says, please understand that gang stalking makes your mind behave in really weird ways. And additionally, it's don't believe that gang stalkers can actually can actually get in your mind. Don't believe that gang stalkers have direct access to impose images onto you, because all of that is a lie. As long as you believe the lie, you're going to be stuck in the gang stalking narrative. You have to immediately understand that direct energy weapons have nothing to do with gang stalking. Gang stalkers themselves are pushing that narrative.
Creepy. And it works in reverse. As creepy as this may sound, it works in reverse as well. Control panel stalkers are able to see any images originating in the target individual's mind.
No.
Both actual images and fictional images.
So it feels like that. I thought that was true. I thought that gang stalkers had a psychological link to my mind when I was getting gang stalked. I believed it. You know, and the thing is that's what actually drives you further crazy, because imagine if you're in a spicy mood, and then you want to imagine hot things, you're not even able to see hot content, because you feel that people are watching you, and it's people you feel like, if you believe that people can actually watch what you look at, that imagine you're gonna be fighting your own mind. You're gonna be fighting your own mind. Because you're gonna feel that whatever your mind can see, gang stalking turns your mind against you. It literally does. That's the whole thing of gang stalking. Gang stalking turns your mind against you, and making people believe that everyone can see what's in your mind or whatever. That is how gang stalking drives people crazy. It makes you fight your own mind.
And by actual images, I mean literally they can see what I see out of my own two eyes. They can see what I'm looking at out of my own two eyes through this image induction technology. But they can also see fictional images. So any thoughts of images that are in my mind. So if I'm thinking about something in my memory, something that happened several years ago, and I have an image of that in my mind, then they can actually see that too.
It feels like that. It totally feels like that. But that's not the case. Please understand, gang stalkers want you to believe this stuff. They want you to believe this stuff. Why do you think that we have this person here on the chat pushing? It has a lot to do with gang stalking, MK Ultra, and Contraflow. Notice that there's so many people just pushing this narrative. But please understand that that's not the case. It's gang stalkers want you to believe that. Gang stalkers want you to believe that. But you have to understand that is not the case. And it's weird. Notice that how it's I lived this. I felt like gang stalkers were actually able to see what I was imagining. I did. And for a while, I used to fight it by imagining whoever was in front of me dying or something. But I felt so powerful because I believed that they could see what I was imagining. But when that happens to you, it feels like your mind. It feels like your mind is not yours anymore, because you feel like you literally are losing control of your mind, because you feel that someone else is using it. So notice that PVT whatever is asking, do you take medication? Ew, no. But notice that I'm not saying anything. Pay attention to everything that I'm saying. This guy is saying, do you take medication? And what am I doing? I'm here. We're covering gang stalking, and I'm telling you guys that direct energy weapons are not real, and that it is all in the mind. Notice that these people are trying to paint me like if I need medication. You know what I mean? That's typical gang stalking behavior. That's crazy, dude. How can someone ask me when all I'm doing is being completely rational, and yet we have a person here saying, oh, do you take any medication? You know what I mean? I'll literally, all I'm doing is helping everyone understand what gang stalking really is.
Or if I'm imagining something, there's an image that I'm imagining in my mind.
I live that
too.
I
know
live
that sounds very science fiction, very crazy, but again,
that's because
look at Dr. Robert Duncan's
that's because
book,
you were manipulated by gang stalkers. That is gang stalking manipulation. Gang stalking does that to you.
The effectiveness of the Voice of God weapons to the overall gang stalking agenda and program to harass targeted individuals. I want to explain that to get you to understand, hopefully not just you, but also targeted individuals to understand how this all fits together. Because again, it's sort of the linchpin. Control panel stalkers are able to, just like they can induce sound into a target's ear, they can induce sound into a street level stalker's ear as well. And that way, this allows control panel stalkers to, in a very discreet way, let street level stalkers know about the presence of a targeted individual in their general area.
Notice,
and they're able to give them directions on how to interact with the target.
Notice that the book he's reading is actually making him more paranoid. Like, the book he's reading is actually making him more paranoid. You know, all of those weird, crazy stories are not meant to help targets. They're meant to drive them crazy if you're getting gang stalked. So if you are getting gang stalked, you have to understand the truth. That gang stalking makes you have these paranoid delusions, and there is an actual push of people to try to convince targets that directed energy weapons are real. You know, at every single stream, we have had someone tell us directed energy weapons are real. Directed energy weapons are real. And you know, like in every single stream, you guys can see yourself that there is an actual push. And I have evidence right here in the chat that there are people that are always gonna be pushing the narrative of directed energy weapons. They claim to know the truth. And you have the things that there is a big push that they use plausible deniability. But this is the truth, is that plausible the reason that I don't fall for this is because I got to know my mind so well that I will know if I got to understand where the voices came from, because I was able to control them. I was able to control the physiological sensations. So what that did is that it allowed me to actually realize, oh shoot, it is actually in my mind and not directed energy weapons, which is exactly what led me to tell you the truth about gang stalking. That gang stalking is a methodological way of driving people crazy, which turns people's minds against it.
You know, things like, you know, you should back up, or you should look at him, or oh, he's coming up on your right. To the targeted individual who doesn't know anything about the technology, they just wonder, oh my God, how do these people keep finding me? And how do they know where I'm at?
And that's the most unbelievable thing, is that there are so many of them. That there are so many of them. However, they're not absolutely everywhere. So like the thing is that, like, if you see this, you know, like if you're sensitized to that, you're almost gonna be looking for it, you know. But look, if you live in the same town, you're getting gang stalked, and you're meeting the same people, you are doing the same things, people are gonna know who you are, and these people are gonna be everywhere that you go. Gang stalkers are just so many. That's true. There are just a lot of gang stalkers, dude. And like, and notice that this guy, he was like a guy of the church. So notice that he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong. So gang stalkers are always gonna try to make you believe that you did something wrong. So gang stalking happens to people just because it happens to people. It has nothing to do with anything that they do or say. It doesn't. There is just a group of people that are crazy.
But reality is that it's through this technology. Fortunately, I was able to figure out through researching online, I was able to figure out about this technology. Unfortunately, many targets have not, and so it only adds to their paranoia, and some of them probably never will.
He got fed the wrong information.
It only further exacerbates kind of the stress and paranoia and stuff that they experience on a day-to-day basis.
He got fed the wrong information.
And for this part of the video, that's all. And I'll pick up a little bit later with more.
Okay, so we're going to stop right here. We're going to stop right here, guys. And let's see. So, guys, this has actually been a really fun to watch. It wasn't actually boring at all. And this test, I hope that's what gang stalking wants to turn you guys into. Gang stalking actually is a campaign of people trying to be crazy, you know, and either to, and notice that this person ended up committing killing someone, killing 3 people. And that's what you have to understand, is that gang stalking is no joke. Gang stalking is actually intended to make you be filled with resentment and with hate, with the intention of making you miserable. And gang stalking happens, it happens to good people. It just does. And the thing is that it is what it is, you know. You really, once it's happening, the only thing you can do about it is to understand that there's people that are going to try to keep you awake. There's people that are going to be messing with you, with everything that you do. It's the truth. And you're going to have a group of people, especially online, trying to push the narrative of directed energy weapons actually being used on you. So please understand that MK Ultra, like this guy said, counter interflow, all of those things are intended to make targets paranoid. The moment, because if targets do not understand that gang stalking is brainwashing into making people believe that direct energy weapons are real, that is fed to us online, you know, once you see that, only then you're going to be able to escape the nightmare of gang stalking. The best thing that you can do, guys, is simply to take care of yourself. To not hang out with losers. Do not hang out with people that use any type of illicit substances. And you want to make sure to eat, sleep. And if people are messing with you, like let's say that like this guy, you know how his neighbor, he said that his neighbors were making a lot of noises. He couldn't call the cops. But he was so unsure of what he was living that he couldn't even think of calling the cops. Please understand that you are a valuable citizen. And you have to make sure that you have rights. You have rights. And if you're doing something and then you have someone messing with you, like if you're trying to sleep and your neighbor is making a noise, you have all the right to call the cops. If you are being harassed anywhere, all you have to do is take a picture of the person and make sure to press charges if you can. If you are getting harassed by someone in any way, shape, or form, regardless of you being sure or not that the person is doing it on purpose, all what you have to do is tell that person is, you know what, don't speak to me again, or I'm gonna press charges for harassment. So leave me alone. And that's all you have to do. If you give them one warning, then you go file the report, and then you can press charges. Okay, but if you have people harassing you, if you have your neighbors making a lot of noise, you have to make sure to make your voice be heard. Nowadays, it is super easy to make your voice be heard. So if there is a noise campaign, all you have to do, you got your cell phone, you record it, and then you post it on Facebook and post it everywhere. And then you call the cops, and then you make sure that you want to do everything possible to discourage people from messing with you. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching today's stream. I love you guys. Please take care. Have a good night. And tomorrow we're gonna do the next part of this. Okay. Have a good night, guys.